Shalom, this is Yair Davidiy, speaking to you from the land of Israel. I represent Brit-Am Hebrew awareness. We search the whereabouts of the lost 10 tribes. We find the lost 1 tribes amongst Western nations. We have been able to prove from the Bible, from history, from legends, from linguistics, from archaeology, from numerous fields of inquiry where the lost 10 tribes are. And not only have we been able to prove where the lost 10 tribes are, we have been able to give tentative but quite certain identifications to most of the tribes. We have found where each and every one of these tribes was dominant. Let me explain a little bit. We had 12 tribes. 12 tribes were together in the land of Israel. Each one had its own tribal inheritance. 10 of the 12 tribes separated. They set up their own kingdom. They were then taken into exile by the Assyrians, taken away and placed in another area. A portion were taken overseas in ships. Others were taken overland. But those who were taken overland went to the north, eventually went to southern Russia, then westward into Europe. Those who were taken overseas in ships converged in the British Isles, Scandinavia, and areas of such a nature, and the two different pathways of migration, or several different pathways of migration, converged historically, and peoples from the different tribes all came together, and we find groups whom we identify as belong to one tribe coalescing, reunifying with others from their own tribe. And we find that in different areas, certain tribes were dominant. We find that in Finland, the tribe of Issachar was dominant. In Sweden, the tribe of Gad. In Norway, the tribe of Naphtali. In Dan, the tribe of Denmark. In the Netherlands, the tribe of Zebulun. In Belgium, the tribe of Benjamin and Simeon and others. In France, the tribe of Reuben. In Switzerland, the tribe of Issachar and Gad. Ireland, we find the tribe of Asher and Dan. In Britain, we find representatives of all of the tribes, but the tribes of Joseph were predominant. The tribes of Joseph were those of Ephraim and Manasseh. Eventually, Manasseh came to be the preeminent amongst the groups who founded the USA, America, whereas Britain remained head of Britain and its offshoots in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and South Africa. Now, these were the lost 10 tribes. They were taken away by the Assyrians. They lost consciousness, lost awareness of their ancestry, but physically they remained together as cohesive, coherent entities. But unaware of their ancestry. They had lost knowledge of who they came from. Whereas the group that remained behind were two tribes, the two tribes of Benjamin and Judah, remained faithful to the law of God, faithful to their ancestry. They knew who they were, but eventually they were to be scattered all over the world. They became the Jews of history. They were primarily from the tribes of Judah and Benjamin, together with a great many from Levi, from the tribe of Levi, and minority representatives of the other tribes. Well, in addition to that, Benjamin, even though he was mainly amongst the tribe of the section known as Judah, after Judah, the preeminent tribe, he also had a minority representatives amongst the other tribes. And he had that character of his own. He was different from Judah, even though he's together with the Jewish people. And so, we are presently we are undergoing. At present, we are conducting a project to go quite as deeply as possible into the traditions concerning Benjamin, to try and delineate what his characters were, what his tribal characteristics were, in order that those who feel they may belong to Benjamin may be able to have something to cling to, something to identify with. The forefathers of the Hebrew nation were Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob was renamed Israel. Jacob had 4 wives, Leah, Rachel, Zilpah and Bilhah. Rachel was his favourite wife, but Rachel only gave him 2 sons. They were Joseph and Benjamin. Benjamin was the youngest son. Their father was Jacob, also known as Israel. And Jacob was the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel. The brothers of Joseph, now the brothers of Joseph, the other brothers apart from Benjamin, were angry at Joseph because Joseph had dreams where the other brothers would come and bow down to him, where he would rule over them. And also he brought back an evil report about a mistaken negative report about them, as they suspected him of trying to dispossess them, of being against them. They intended to kill him. At the last minute they threw him into a pit, then they sold him to a group of a caravan of Arab type Ishmaelites, Midianites come down to Egypt. In Egypt he was sold into slavery. Eventually he became ruler of the country. I mean, while there was a famine, and Joseph had prepared food in the land of Egypt, and there was enough food also to supply the lands around them. The land of Canaanite, where the brothers were Jacob and his sons were dwelling in, was also hit by the famine. That also affected, they needed food. They went down to Egypt to buy food. Joseph met them, and after a give and take, and quite a dramatic unfolding of events, Joseph was reconciled with his brothers, and then the whole family, the whole extended family of 70 males, plus their wives and their younger children, they all came down to Egypt and settled there. And the Bible tells us of the children of these sons in Egypt, of these 70 sons, and it also gets to the sons of Rachel. In Genesis chapter 46, verse 19, it says, the sons of Jacob's wife, Rachel, Benjamin. The sons of Jacob's wife, Rachel, Benjamin. Genesis 46, 19, the sons of Jacob's wife, Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. Now to Joseph the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim. And Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bore to him. That is, Joseph married an Egyptian woman. And then he goes on, the sons of Benjamin, Bela, Beha, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Ahi, Rosh, Mupim, Hopim, and Arad. These were the sons of Rachel who were born to Jacob. They were 14 persons in all. And all these names of the sons of Benjamin were named after Joseph. And the Midrash, that is the Midrash and the Talmud, both of them bring a similar account. They say that all of the 10 sons of Benjamin were named after Joseph. Either they reflected upon what happened to Joseph, or what was destined to happen to him. And this shows that the soul of Benjamin was somehow either connected to the soul of Joseph. There's a linkage, an undercurrent of brotherhood between the two. And so this is significant. So these are the names that Benjamin gave to his sons. Bela, in reference to Joseph. Bela means swallow or assimilate. Becha, meaning firstborn. Joseph was the firstborn of Rachel. Ashbel, meaning captive, from the root Shabbat, in reference to Joseph suffering captivity. Gera, meaning sojourn or temporarily dwell. Reference Joseph lived in temporary dwellings in a foreign land. Naaman, meaning grace, in reference to Joseph being extremely graceful. Ahi, meaning my brother, reference to Joseph being Benjamin's only full brother. All the others were half brothers from different mothers. Rosh, that is, Rosh means head. So head, literally head, but also it connotes headman, leader. In reference to Joseph being senior to Benjamin and a leader, as it says in Deuteronomy, the book of Deuteronomy 33:16, in the blessing of Moses. When Moses blessed the tribes, and he said concerning Joseph, the choice things of the earth and its fullness, and the favour of him who dwelt in the bush, that is God, the favour of God upon Joseph. Did it come to the head of Joseph? There's a play on the word head. may come to the head of Joseph and to the top of the head of the one who is prince among his brothers. And then he continues with the names, Mupim. Mupim in Hebrew, the Pa and the Fi and the F sound, they are from the same letter and they can interchange. And the Midrash and the Talmud differ upon the connotation of this word. One says that it's from the root Yafe, meaning beautiful, handsome, because Joseph was extremely handsome, as the Bible says. And there's also beautiful in his mode of behavior. Another explanation given for this word Mupim is from the word Pa, from the root Pi, meaning mouth. And that Joseph learned by word of mouth the laws of the children of Noah. So this is important and we'll come to it. It's significant. Another name was Hupim. Hupim means plural of Hupa. Hupa is a marriage canopy. Maybe you've been to a Jewish wedding or seen pictures of them. They get married under a kind of canopy above their heads. It's known as a Chuppah. And the plural could be a Hupim. Hupot, Hupim. So this is the reference to Joseph not being present at the wedding of Benjamin, and Benjamin not being present at the wedding of Joseph. And amongst Jews, it's very important. Families are very important, and they like being each other's weddings, and I think it's a calamity if they're not able to be at the wedding of their close relatives. And so, this is also of significance, as we will see. Ard, related to Vered, Ard, or Arad, to Vered, meaning the rose flower. To Joseph having a countenance like a rose. This Russia, this type of exegesis, this type of explanation, is not on the same level as the Bible. You don't have to believe it, don't have to accept it, but it's given over by the sages. It's given over, and it should be respected, and also it's given over by people who know the Torah, who dwell on the Torah, who learn everything, every little letter, every little inclination, every little change, every nuance. And they put one hint to another and they come up with deep insights that are worth considering. So on that point alone, it's worth listening to what they had to say and seeing how they may have played out in practice. Bela, so the first one, Bela, meaning swallow, meaning assimilated. It was a prediction that Ephraim would be assimilated amongst the nations. This is what happened after they were exiled. Hosea chapter 7, he says, beginning with verse 8, Ephraim mixes himself up with the peoples. Ephraim will be assimilated amongst the people. So Ephraim is a king not turned, strangers to bear his strength, and he knows it not. Grey hairs are sprinkled upon him, and he knows it not. The pride of his heart testifies to his face, and they do not return to the Lord their God, nor seek him for all this. So in modern Hebrew, Bela means assimilation. The 10 tribes led by Joseph were destined to intermix with the Gentiles and to become like them. Becca, the firstborn, the other name, firstborn leader of the tribes of Joseph today and frequently in the past, had leadership roles among the nations. Ashbel from the root captive, Shavah. 10 tribes were taken captive. Britain and other areas were populated by Israelite captives brought across the sea under the rules of Edomites, Philistines and Phoenicians. This is hinted at in the book of Amos, in chapters 1 and chapter 4, where it relates to the captives from the 10 tribes who were to be taken away by the Philistines, the inhabitants of Gad, of Ashkelon, of Ashdod, all those, Gaza, all those areas belong to the Philistines. It rebukes Amos, the prophet Amos rebukes the inhabitants of those areas, the remnants of the land of Philistine, as he calls them. They were Philistines, for taking the captives, taking the 10 tribes into captivity. They were instrumental. They are recognizable by the Mycenaean and Minoan type of culture, and they took people to Britain, to Scandinavia, and to parts of Europe, and settled colonies there. And we find colonies of the Phoenicians, of the Mycenaeans, of Minoans and Minoan culture amongst areas in the north, in Scandinavia, and other places. And also we find presence of the Phoenicians in those regions, and they undertook the recolonization of those areas to set up vast estates for agricultural enterprise in Spain. of mining gold and silver in Spain, and lead and other minerals, and after that in Cornwall, and tin and copper in Wales, and they undertook all of these enterprises with slave labour from Israelite captives. Eventually the captives became free, asserted their independence and so on, but they were there because initially they were captives, so that's how they got to those regions. Other Israelites were taken overland to northern Mesopotamia, the foothills of the Caucasus areas, and there too they eventually asserted themselves and gained their independence, moved to the south of Russia, became part of the Scythian and Cimmerian peoples, and moved to Western Europe, and moved into Scandinavia, moved into the Netherlands, moved into all those regions, and joined the Israelites. Captives who were already there, or the former captives. And then we have Yair, meaning sojourned well, and after being exiled, the 10 tribes wandered overland from one place to another before eventually reaching the west. Naaman means grace. The British are known for their civilised behaviour, their good manners, their sensitivity. They are known for this. There may be exceptions. They can be very rude, very snobbish. This is known, but the good and the bad, they're also known for their sensitivity, for their civilised behaviour and attitudes. As compared to other nations, also in the USA, we have codes of right behaviour and chivalry that existed and still exist, and are important, and have historical significance. So this helps us. The next brother is Ahi. Ahi means my brother. This represents the principle of fraternity. Judah and Benjamin, together with minority elements from the other tribes, especially Levi, but also Simeon and several of the others, together they comprise the present-day Jewish people. Judah has given his name to the whole of the Jewish people. The whole of the Jewish people in the Bible and biblical terminology is referred to as Judah. And Benjamin is also significant. Judah and Benjamin are the two major tribes in Judah amongst the Jews. And the English-speaking peoples represent the descendants of Rachel, the other descendants of Rachel, Ephraim and Manasseh. And in the past, despite numerous exceptions and taking into consideration the different historical situations and the evolution, the involvement of public consciousness, and numerous other factors, we may say that at least in recent times, English-speaking people have shown a certain fraternal concern for the well-being of the rights of Jews. They have, to a degree, shown themselves as brothers to Benjamin and to Judah. They not as much as they should have done, not as much as they could have done, but they did often do quite a lot, especially compared to other nations of the earth. Beginning in the 1800s, 1900s, there were pogroms in Russia. There were also persecutions of the Jews in Muslim countries, and the British and the Americans helped the Jews in those areas. They did what they could, and they endeavoured to do more. They also, even before then, they'd shown sympathy for the Jews. Even Henry VIII, he was considered a tyrant in history, but he helped the Jews in Holland. Cromwell was also considered a tyrant in British history, but he helped the Jews. He was friendly to the Jews. They show an instinctive attitude of brotherhood toward the Jews. There was a restoration movement working for the establishment of an independent Jewish kingdom in the land of Israel. Apart from the Zionist movement, in parallel and in conjunction with the Zionist movement. And this helped bring forward the Balfour Declaration that established the principle of setting up a state in the land of Israel, establishing Palestine as a state for the Jews. And the British did do that, even though here and there they weren't as favourable as they should have been. And at one stage they changed their mind. And in their administration, they had anti-Semites, they had people who hated Jews, who worked against the very policy that was supposed to be there. For on the whole, from an historical perspective, they did establish the State of Israel. They set the State of Israel on its feet. Without them, the State of Israel would not have existed. And they helped, to a very great degree, bring the State of Israel into existence even though they don't always find it convenient to acknowledge that. And also the Jews, because of what happened to them, because there was a fiction and misunderstandings towards the end, the Jews are also not too happy to press that point, but they acknowledge it. In Israel, it's well known. The British helped establish the State of Israel. After the British, the French helped. After the French came the Americans. The Americans have been the longest friendly associators with the Jewish state, helped the Jewish state. They helped us out of economic crises, helped us get over economic burdens, helped us establish the state, put the State of Israel on its feet, to help us arm ourselves, develop a weapons production, and to help us be enabled to defend ourselves. America and Britain together have shown a certain fraternal feeling, and they are still showing it towards the Jewish people, which is consistent with the name Ahi. Ahi being one of the names of Benjamin, and these names being considered to express aspects of the characteristics, tribal characteristics of Joseph. Another name is Rosh, meaning headman, leader. This is similar to the significance of Becca, explained above. Joseph is the primary head, the leader. Mupim. Mupim, there's a difference of opinion as to what Mupim actually means. One opinion connects it with Mupim to the root Yafe, meaning beauty. In Hebrew it makes sense. The P and the F sounds are represented by the same letter, and they may interrelate with each other. And you have a root word roots of 3 letters, and upon that you can build grammatical constructs, which is mem, en, and so on. And so in Hebrew this makes sense, and it could also be derived from the word yafe, good looking. Joseph was very good looking. The wife of Potiphar tried to seduce Joseph, the wife of his master, and the Bible says in Genesis 39, verse 6, so that is his master, he left Joseph in charge of everything that he owned, and with him he did not concern himself with everything except the food which he ate. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. Joseph was very handsome in every way. And this is reflected in the word mupim, according to one opinion. Another opinion relates to the name mupim to the root pay. Pay means mouth. Mouth, another word, mouth. Things learned by Baal pay in Hebrew, things learned off by heart. And this is linked, according to the Midrash, to the laws of the sons of Noah that Joseph received by word of mouth, that Joseph learned. And British and American political philosophers, they have formulated the concepts of inherent rights and innate human dignity, the rights of man. This is found in the American Constitution. It's found in the works of John Locke, other English political philosophers. It is something that they have developed, and they promoted, and that is part of our life today. And they were the foremost ones who did it. The sons of Joseph did this. They established the concepts of universal, innate, basic justice and human dignity for all of mankind. And they promoted these doctrines and these laws. And these laws are in effect a formulation, a development of the laws of Noah, of the sons of Noah, of the first universal laws, and they are based on the Bible. And the people who did this very often themselves were experts in the Bible. They knew much of the Bible off by heart, and they read it frequently. They were not free thinkers on the whole. So this too, it shows us how one of the names of the sons of Benjamin was reflected in the history and the development of Joseph, or the offspring of Joseph. Another name is Arad. Arad, connected with Vered. The name Vered in Hebrew means a rose, a flower. It's said to be a reference to Joseph having a countenance like a rose. The Israelite tribes were all from one father, from Jacob. They had different mothers. They did not all look alike. Joseph, according to Midrash, looked like Sarah, his grandmother, the wife of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. Jacob was renamed Israel. Israel begat Joseph and Benjamin. Joseph looked like Sarah, the wife of Abraham, his grandfather, Sarah being his grandmother. And also he was said to be the splitting image. He looked exactly like his father Jacob, like Israel. These likenesses are according to the Midrash. The Zohar mentions another point which is interesting. The Zohar, which is also a medieval work, but it was based on ancient sources. And the Zohar says that Benjamin was similar, looked very much like his mother Rachel. And that could have been, and there could be significance in this. Joseph evidently was light-coloured, but he married an Egyptian woman, and therefore his offspring would have been either very light or somewhat darkish. And we find amongst the offspring of Joseph in Britain and America and related nations that they are one type or the other, more or less. In the old, not about 100 years ago, people used to learn or used to go by what was called racial science. The books are still around. They still use racial science, or the old type is still used in forensic examinations. It's still taught, and there's something to it. It's admitted there's something to it. And then it examined human types, head shapes, colouring, and so on, and combinations, which may or may not be influenced by the environment. And so too DNA is also influenced by the environment, despite claims to the contrary. At all events, according to the old racial science, the people of the British Isles and the related nations are half of Mediterranean type and half of Nordic type. And this is consistent with Joseph having been of Nordic type and his wife of Mediterranean type.